religious person,
Mm-hmm.
and I am not a believer in God.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be labeled an atheist per se,
Mm-hmm.
but I prefer the phrase religion plays no role in my life. So how does this, if you want to have a prayer before an event, I'm not going to freak out about it,
Right.
but
It's
I'm
like,
also not going to pray.
yeah. So it's like,
I'll be respectful.
that's like kind of what I'm at as well. And it's like, but I also understand that there are people that like, it gets into like the larger topic of like NASCAR is, and like, I'm talking specifically NASCAR right now. NASCAR
Sure.
is
Yeah.
a Christian white man sport. So it's like,
Yes, very much so.
Do we pray before hockey games? I can't remember.
No, there's no prayer before. There is before IndyCar races as well. I don't believe there is at Formula One. I mean, they've done their social conscious thing last year where everybody, all the drivers go to the front of the grid and stuff. In fact, they did that last week too. Only they held up a banner for UNICEF or something like that.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, which is cool. But but it's the broader topic of what role does religion play and how big a role should it play in all aspects of life. Should kids at school pray before class, before the day starts?
I mean, we did in our Catholic school, but that's a Catholic
that's
school.
Sort of required at a Catholic school, isn't it? I mean, like, you're pretty much on the hook there.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't remember any of my like public school friends ever saying they prayed before class.
Well, I'm obviously much older than you are, but I remember having the Lord's Prayer said in public school.
Wow.
Not in high school, but public school.
So like middle school to elementary school?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we always went to Catholic school. My sister, who switched to a public school halfway in between, halfway through high school, it was like there's no religion whatsoever in that school. So,
see, now that I'm not against the teaching of religion.
Oh, 100%.
But you should teach all religions, or a very wide spectrum. Like if you go to I'm sort of against dividing schools in terms of Catholic and public, but it should be one school system, but there should be a religion class.
I also agree with that. For me, growing up in a Catholic school, you had to take a religion class every single year.
Right.
And grade 11 was your world religion class, which I loved. That was my favorite religion class all of like high school. But grade 12, I don't think you should have to take it, because at that point it was a waste of a credit, because you're not learning anything new that you did the previous 2 to 3 years. And it's now taking away a credit that you need for actual college or university. Like I had friends that were like petitioning their school to be like, hey, I can't take this religion class because I have to take this other science class in order to get into the program I want. And this you had to go to the school board to be like, I need to be exempt from this religion class and have that switched out, because you technically couldn't graduate a Catholic school without taking 4 religion credits. So it was like, I feel like in grade 12, it's like, you shouldn't be forced, like English, like, yes, like take it every single year because you build and learn upon it. And like, you need English everywhere in your life. But I think that's the only mandatory course you should have is your English class every single year. But the religion class in the final year was a little bit ridiculous, especially for me. The teacher didn't care.
Yeah. Do you need a religion class every year of high school? I could see it being 1 or 2 required years. But again, this is you're not teaching strictly Catholicism. I want a wide spread vision of different religions, different customs, different beliefs, different ideal systems. That's what I believe should be taught versus one, here's your religion class.
Should be a world religion and culture class. And maybe you take it grade 9 and 10, because then that way, when you go to like, I don't know, let's say like Japan, you can have some understanding of like what's respectful in that culture.
100%.
So it's like, because it's like, I'm sitting here with my friend who's like very knowledgeable about like the Japan culture, and like Muslim and like all this stuff, or sorry, Islam and so many different like religions. And I had one world religion class, and that is the extent of my knowledge on all these other religions.
See, I think that's that gives students, I almost said kids, it gives students a much wider perspective on different ideals and religions. I'm also, they're treated as electives, and in different boards and different areas given more importance. Arts and culture should also be part of a required curriculum for a while, in terms of music and art and culture and education and all that. Because I believe that makes you a much more well-rounded and knowledgeable person, and having that knowledge helps you in your other studies as well. So I think that dismissing that and that being the first source of cuts, that in physical education classes, is the absolute wrong way to go. So I think it has a real detrimental effect.
It really does, because it's like, I'm sitting here at 25. I've never traveled outside of North America, and my knowledge of these other cultures and religions is very minimal. Like, I'm sitting here and it's like being in San Francisco right now is like, I'm meeting people that like grew up in like Indonesia. Like, I have roommates from Germany. Like, I was talking to someone from Sweden today, and it's like, I have very minimal understanding of how the world, like how other religions work. But like, I know like Jesus rose on the third day and ascended to heaven 40 days after he was crucified, or like was resurrected. So it's like, I'm like, why do I have that knowledge in my head? And like, why were like points like that drilled into my head through high school, but not like bigger understandings of like the rest of the world?
I think that would make for a much happier, more peaceful, calmer world if that was taught, and everyone had the idea of, oh, okay, I have a better understanding of your culture and where you come from and how things work. I think it would open things up too. I think that would fuel the curiosity, and more people would want to travel and learn more about it.
Yeah, I feel sometimes it's like talking to people who are of other religions or from other countries. I feel very ignorant talking to them. And I'm just like, I'm disappointed in my my younger education that I got.
But you're asking questions, and you're having the conversation, and you're wanting to learn and understand. It's not, you're not dismissing them because they're of a different culture or a different religion, which is unfortunately what so often happens. It's a curiosity, and that's the great thing about travel too, that we get to travel a little bit with work and stuff, but even pleasure travel is a whole different thing. It's people say how much travel costs. Oh, it's thousands of dollars. Yes, but it's not just the trip. It's the trip, and it's the memories that you carry forward for the rest of your life. If you want to amortize it in terms of cost, it's minimal in terms of the joy and pleasure that you get out of it on a dollar basis.
Well, it's like staying here in San Francisco right now. It's like, I'm staying at a hostel. This is my first time staying at a hostel, and just the amount of people I've met from different countries. Like, I don't think I've met anyone that isn't from a different country. Like, everyone here like either was born in a different country and is like studying and is an international student traveling, or straight up is like from another country and is just exploring California. So it's like, you can't, like, being able to travel, and then like, and hostels are cheap. Like, I think it's like $50 a day Canadian for me to stay in a hostel. And it's like, you're forced by staying in dorms to meet other people.
Well, and it benefits you in terms of, again, learning different cultures, learning about different countries. And this is the other part of it too. It's, it's serious, heavy stuff, whether it be religion or cultural beliefs and traditions, but it's also, oh, what's the food like in your country? It's different. It gives you an opportunity, as opposed to just immediately dismissing, oh, well, I've never eaten that, so I don't like it. Well, I love trying different foods from different parts of the world, and some of them you like, some of them you don't, but so what? You're going to have another meal in 6 hours, so it's really not that big a deal in your life.
So my problem with that, so I went, welcome to Racing It Out. We've been having this discussion for the last 5 minutes about
I was going to ask you if you wanted to actually start the podcast and do an intro, or if you just wanted to keep going and maybe do it later. So this is cool.
We'll just keep going.
Okay.
If you've been listening for the last 5 minutes, welcome to Racing It Out. Thank you for joining us. We'll just keep going forward.
Yeah, I think so.
I went to a conveyor belt sushi place yesterday, and I'm very worried with fish, because I know if you can get very sick from eating bad fish. And my roommate that I was with, I was sticking to like my California rolls, my dynamite rolls, like my basics. And she was trying like all these different fish with like, she was trying like nigiri, which for people that don't know is the rice with like the raw fish like placed on top of it. And she was trying all these different ones. And I was very much like, if I don't know what it is, I'm like a little hesitant to try it. And then she tried like a sea urchin one. And I'm like, I can't bring myself to try things like that, especially because it's fish. And I'm like so wary around it, because like I said, if it's like prepared improperly, like you can get very sick. And I'm like, and I'm in a different country right now, so I don't want to even.
But look, turn around and look at the view of where you are with that beautiful bridge and the beautiful water. You are on the coast. Mm-hmm. Seafood is not a problem in California. You're not really going off the road and going too far out on a limb trying good seafood. You know, the seafood, you know, close to the ocean is very fresh. You don't have to worry about that. Yeah. It's like when I'm in Florida too, that's you know, you're going to get fresh fish. If it's not that afternoon, it's probably that morning or the day before. So you're pretty okay. So you want to hear the funny story, and we were talking about trying to figure out like food stories for this one, and your trying of sushi has reminded me of a story going back to, I believe it was 16 or 17, 26 years the first time we had. So I'm at Pocono Raceway working at an IndyCar event at this particular one. And it's Sunday evening, so it's finished. And we're headed back to our hotel, the producer, camera operator that I'm working with. And I was like, we got to find some place to eat. And we stayed a distance away because it usually what happens at Pocono. So we're staying in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And finally we get back to the hotel, and it's like, you know what? There's a Mohegan Sun casino just down the road in Scranton, Pennsylvania from where we are. So I was like, okay, there's got to be something there that we can go. Okay. So we go in, and, you know, you're in a casino, so there's a little bit of everything. And we're kind of looking around, and we spot a sushi place. And it's like, we go over and we have a look at it. And it's like, you know what? It looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So I thought, okay, let's try it. Why not? Let's go. So we sit down. It is some of the best sushi I have ever had in my life. I really enjoy sushi. I enjoy all kinds of fish and seafood. Mm-hmm. It was fantastic. So then the next year, we're going back to the same event, the same guy I'm working with, and he sends me a text message a couple of days before. Hey, Pocono, this weekend, Mohegan Sun, sushi. So we land and we go directly from the airport to the sushi place again. And we tell the guy, say, hey, we came back, we're here. We had such a good time last year. And we have a couple of different things and different roles and stuff. And it's great. And we said to him, go ahead, you make us something that you think we would like. Just, we're in your hands. We trust, go ahead. So he makes this sushi roll. It's got tempura shrimp, and it's got tuna, and it's got toasted sesame seeds on the outside of the rice on this roll. It has thin slices of mango on it. It is absolutely out of this world good. So it's funny that I would not venture a guess that in Scranton, Pennsylvania is one of the greatest sushi restaurants in the world. It was fantastic, really good.
I never would have thought there would be an amazing sushi place in Scranton, Pennsylvania either, but I'm now going to have to add to my list the next time I go to Pocono to go and try this place.
There you go. I'll send you in the right direction. Yes.
I'll also say the sushi in Toronto is not bad either. It is
true.
Pretty decent.
That's what
fresh.
But Toronto's a real multicultural city though, with lots of different ethnic foods and lots of really good restaurants. In terms of there's great Mexican food I've had in Toronto as well. There's some really nice dim sum as well in different parts of the city. So yeah, there's lots of good options.
Oh yeah. There's no shortage. I live in and around Koreatown in Toronto. So you just go for a walk, I think east on Bloor, and there's bubble tea, there's the Korean hot dog places, there's so many ramen, there's pho, there's just in this 2 to 4 block radius of Bloor. There's just so many different places you can go and try. I have unfortunately not eaten anywhere that exciting yet in San Francisco. I'm going to go try my first In-N-Out burger later today. Very excited.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that this was going to be part of your journey. So yeah, get the In-N-Out burger. We'll look forward to your full review on the next.
I will try the fries edition. Animal style, I promise. It's In-N-Out burger here, and I think I'm going to try Whataburger in Arizona next. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, tonight we're going to a curry, our hostel's doing a Korean comedy show tonight. So it's $17 to go get some curry and then go see a comedy show. So we're why not go do that? Why not?
This Curry's is a cool great. Trip.
It is. It's very cool.
Cool trip.
If anyone's ever coming to San Francisco and wants to stay in a hostel, highly recommend Green Tortoise Hostel at Kearney and Broadway. It's super great. Really cool building. 10 out of 10 recommend. Has a sauna. Can't go wrong.
Has a sauna. That's a great location too, because you're walking distance to a lot of cool things. It's not far to the wharf. So it's a fun city, San Francisco. It's a little, it has its areas that are not, necessarily the safest, like many big cities, but it is a very cool city with a nice personality.
We walked around a lot yesterday, and my roommate and I the entire time are just sitting there this would be a really cool city to live in. It would just be it seems so inclusive in so many ways, so accessible by bikes if you have the leg strength for it. And their transit system's amazing. There's so many buses everywhere. So it's and it's $2.50, and you can just you just add the card to your phone and add money to it. And it's you just tap it everywhere. So it's and there's just so many cool views. We were just walking yesterday and we found this park. It's actually the park by the Painted Ladies, if anyone's ever been in San Francisco. And it was just an amazing view of downtown, and you could kind of see the tip of the Golden Gate Bridge. It was just amazing. So gorgeous place.
Yeah,
I haven't been
very picturesque.
Haven't been to Ocean Beach yet. I'm planning to do that tomorrow. So
good for you.
I would like to go see Ocean. That'd be nice.
This is this is not officially a work trip. You are working a little bit while you're traveling, but that is the benefit of doing what we do, where we get to travel around and enjoy some different cities. Sometimes you wish you were able to stay longer just to really experience them, whether it's a different kind of restaurant or a different tourist site or something that the city is known for. That is a real benefit. So we get to enjoy cool things about our work, and also sometimes enjoy just to get out and just even if you've got an extra couple of hours in an afternoon or something, just to explore a little bit.
I'm really hoping when we go out to Edmonton this year, I'm hoping it kind of lines up, because we go Edmonton on the Saturday and then we don't have Saskatoon until the Wednesday. I'm hoping I have a couple extra days, depending on where the flights and the hotels land. I'm hoping I have a couple extra days that I can drive out to Banff, because I've never been in a mountain. Want to go see the mountains. So I'm really hoping that we have the couple extra days in Edmonton, so we can go and see exploring a little bit this time.
It's worth making the journey. Fingers crossed for you there. So I do have a racing topic that I wanted to bring up this week and kind of kick around with you a little bit as well, since we've really covered a lot of ground on this one. But here's and it occurred to me as I've been watching and hearing some announcements of races and events that are coming up over the next little while. It's sort of the tug of war combination frustration that I have sometimes. One of the things I love about motorsports and racing are traditions, that things are done a certain way and with a certain rhythm and routine on a regular basis, especially at some of the larger events. And I'll just use the Indianapolis 500 as an example, because it's probably the one of the best known.
It's the one I was thinking of as well when you mentioned traditions. Yeah.
Right. So they have the Purdue band is there. They sing Back Home Again in Indiana. They release the balloons. They have the command. And there's a real structure to the weekend that things happen and occur in the same way. I think sometimes people get this confused with, we need to do everything the same way it has always been done. And here's my example, again, with related IndyCar, the event that took place at Texas Motor Speedway. It's the last year of the contract for this event with IndyCar. It moved up in the schedule this year. It's normally been later in the year. And there's the gripe about the track is more suited to NASCAR because they put a substance down that helps NASCAR, and the cars run side by side, and it doesn't make the Indy cars very happy. So they've had to, try to bend and accommodate to that. The crowd this year wasn't apparently very good, but they did have some good racing action. The frustrating part is that, well, if we lose this event, if this event doesn't come back, we have to replace it with another oval because IndyCar is based on ovals, and the Indianapolis 500, of course, is the most famous oval, but we always have to have a certain number of oval races. And if this one goes away, I heard the suggestion that, well, maybe we can get Milwaukee back. Well, Milwaukee wasn't a moneymaker for years, and it was withering on the vine. And it doesn't mean that, but there's those that are stuck in the past, I'll say, that said, we always have to do this way. We always have to have a certain number of oval tracks. Give the people what they want is as much as anything. I mean, there was a giant push this year to bring back Iowa Speedway with IndyCar, and they're doing a twin doubleheader. There's a lot of money being put into this. They're having concerts before and after each race, and that's cool to try to revitalize and bring back this event. But again, there are those that are bitching about, well, if I want to go to a concert, I'll go to a concert. I want to go to a race. Who says you can't have both? Who says you can't have entertainment and make it a weekend? It's just, we get so stuck in these little pockets of, oh, it must be exactly this, and we can't deviate away from it at all. I find that so frustrating. Why, again, like a food, why wouldn't you want to try something different? They're not all going to work, but sometimes trying something different is not a bad idea.
No, it's never a bad idea. And it's like the worst thing that happens is like, maybe you end up losing money on it and then you just don't re-sign the contract. But best case scenario, you try something completely out of the blue and it ends up being a huge success, and you make a crap ton of money off of it, and you get all this publicity for it. Because it's like, you're not just talking about ticket sales there. It's like, if you do something huge, it's gonna make news some way. So it's like, why not take that risk and try to do something different, whether it's having a concert, whether it's going to a brand new track, whether it's going to maybe something that's a state that's, or a province that's a little riskier to, like, with a smaller population. Who knows how it's going to turn out? It could end up being one of the greatest races of all time.
It could be a spectacular event like NASCAR at the LA Coliseum.
Exactly. Trying something different, taking a risk, and it paying off so much, because that race is, in my opinion, iconic now.
Oh, I agree. I think that you've really set a standard for what a special event could be. It's not a regular scheduled race in terms of points paying in the championship. This is a special event. This is something unique and different. So why not try that? I mean, I chose COTA for the background this week for the podcast, but NASCAR at COTA, there were so many that were resistant to more road courses and different road courses, like, oh, well, we've got the two at Watkins Glen and Sonoma, that's enough. Try something different. COTA is a spectacular facility, whichever discipline is running on it, and I've seen a bunch of different ones. It's a fantastic facility. Austin's a great town. Why wouldn't you want to try to grow and expand your product? And this is the point about the podcast that we've talked about too, is that we're trying to be inclusive and bring more people in, as opposed to, nope, this is what we do, this is how we do it, and if you don't like it, you stay away. Why not try to welcome and bring more people into it?
NASCAR Cup to CTMP, please. That'd be great. I think you could get a lot of fans from over Ontario and Quebec and probably all over Canada that would love to come and see a cup race in Canada.
Okay, so let's play with that a little bit.
Okay.
Because the truck series has come to CTMP.
Mm-hmm.
The Xfinity, formerly Nationwide, was in Montreal at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve and had some success there. Thank you. I'm glad you like that. But the Cup Series has not gone outside the borders of the continental United States yet for a points paying race. They did demonstration races a couple of years back, well, more than a couple of years. Would it have to be an every year thing, or would it be, say, once every 2, 3, 4, 5 years as part of the schedule? What if you shuffled out, say, a Road America, but subbed in a CTMP every 3 years or so?
That would be interesting if you had like a rotating road course race, and you go and you try all those different little road course tracks to kind of like get your feet wet and see what the markets are. That's actually probably a really smart idea to like kind of see what the markets are in different areas. I think CTMP, I actually really like that idea of like rotating it out. I'm like trying to conceptualize and think about it now. It's like, that's actually, you're taking that risk of like one track, you might lose money on one track one year, but then you could end up gaining it all back, if not more, the next. So it's like taking something like Coda and like doing Coda 1 year and then going to maybe back to Montreal and then maybe going to CTMP, or you didn't
want to say Circuit Gilles Villeneuve?
I don't want to. My French is awful right now. God. Like,
no, see,
that's
the extent of my French, is I can say, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve with the accent a little bit, but that's the extent of my French. So I'm glad that you're open to such an idea, though. And I like that. It's, what, again, a risk is worth taking. It's worth trying. If it's something new, if it's something you haven't done before, whether it's racing, whether it's in a part of your life that, well, I don't know if this is going to work out, but you know what if it does? Isn't that a more positive way to look at it? I'm always 100%. the glass half full kind of person. So what if it does work out? That could be really great. And why not focus on that and drive your attention towards that?
Yeah, it's something I've been working on a lot in the last year, because I want to say like 2018 and through like the pandemic, maybe within the last year, my view on that kind of stuff has kind of changed, of like, like going to Daytona was actually a really hard decision for me to like make that like choice to go, because it was going to be quite a bit of money, and we were planning it so late that I was like, we were trying to find ways to make it like cheaper and like less expensive. And it straight up was like, it seems like you want to go. What if you go and it works out totally fine? Like, what if? And it's like, what are the chances that that's actually going to happen? That you're actually like, you're going to go and then you're going to be totally fine afterwards financially. Probably a pretty good chance I'll be totally fine. And I was. So it's like, I have really started to kind of shift my view into that glass half full and stop being a lot less negative about stuff and a lot less. I have a bad issue with catastrophizing a lot of stuff. So it's like,
but there's and I had this explained to me, it was probably a few years ago now, is that in operating with your partner, is just my thing is, I escalate concern as I feel it's necessary. So I don't immediately go to the point of what is the worst possible outcome.
That's me. I do that.
Well, she does too. And then it's just and eventually you kind of meet somewhere in the middle where the appropriate amount of concern is dispensed for whatever the issue is. But that sometimes it takes a while to get there. So that's me. Is like, let's not, I prefer not to act like my hair's on fire is the best description of it. Because nothing really gets accomplished then. So like, let's be calm. Let's figure out the right solution and course of action.
My partner is exactly the same way, where he's like, I feel like your life would be a lot happier if you weren't constantly anxious about everything all the time. And I'm like, probably.
Easier said than done, right?
Easier said than done, especially when you've spent your entire life constantly preparing yourself for the worst possible outcome. And it's like, oh, I have to have this amount in my like savings in order to be like, okay. And like, I have to constantly be prepared to have no money. I have to constantly be prepared to like get my heart broken. I have constantly have to be prepared to like face rejection from work and like be fired. It's like, you know how fucking miserable that is? Constantly living in constantly living like your life's about to freaking end basically. And like you're about to like come, your whole like everything you know is about to come crashing down.
Yep.
It's fucking miserable. So it's like,
so maybe this is a bit of an age generational thing too, and life experience, because I've been fired a few times. So it's just, it doesn't frighten me now as it would have years ago. I still don't want it to happen.
No one does.
Well, there was a point in my life where I was looking for the thanks for coming, let's see you, but your services are no longer required. It worked out great because it allowed me to evolve and do what I do now. So yeah, but yeah, no one likes to be fired. It's not a pleasant experience, I'll give you that.
I think the thing that's changed for me, especially, and I think the pandemic really pushed forward this view of thinking for me, was if anything bad happens, I know I'll be okay. It's like,
exactly.
If I lose my job, I know I can find another one. And I know that there will be people there to support me until I do. It is that feeling and that like belief that it's like, you know, you will be okay. And you know that you have people in your life that will help you be okay again. So it's like, I remember, I want to say like 29 end of 2019, beginning of 2020, like through the pandemic, beginning of the pandemic, being terrified that I was going to lose my job with NASCAR and being like, are we like, what's going to happen? Like, am I going to have to go find a new job? Like, oh my gosh. And it was just like, after meeting like my current, like my really good friend group that I have now, and like my partner, it was like, I know I'll be okay. Like, I know if I lose my job with NASCAR, I'll be okay. And it might, you know, wherever it takes me after that, it might spark some new passion that I haven't discovered yet. So
you will 100% be okay because you have the capabilities. And you and I have talked about this before. I got your back anytime. So you 100% will be okay. So, and yeah, there's exciting possibilities ahead. So this seems like a very positive and uplifting point to kind of wrap up and stuff too. It's just, you know, this is great, and we can end on this point, and you can go on and carry on with some, you know, great sightseeing and great fish and sushi and stuff in San Francisco, and In-N-Out Burger, of course, I can't forget that, and all the other stuff. Okay, so disclaimer is we have represented our own views. Our comments, thoughts, ideas, suggestions do not represent any of our employers or anyone else that might punish us or get us in trouble. How's that?
Perfect. NASCAR, please don't fire me.
And scene.